Welcome viewers to the Saturday, February 25th edition of the 284 News Weekend Roundup. I am Jacka Wooding bringing you our top stories from this week. Thank you so much for joining us. This week, 26-year-old NYALL George was charged with the conspiracy to murder KADEEM JIMENEZ, who died in December 2022. This was confirmed by the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force on Wednesday night. They said that George was also jointly charged along a St. Croix native, 24-year-old John Burgos, with unlawful possession of firearms, unlawful possession of ammunition, and unlawful possession of a controlled drug. The statement read, quote, "A search warrant conducted on George's Hodge Creek residence uncovered 3 illegal handguns, a large quantity of ammunition, a quantity of illegal drugs, and both men were arrested at that residence. The 2 men will appear in a magistrate's court at the next available sitting." JIMENEZ was fatally shot on the afternoon of December 12 in Major Bay, East End, and was later pronounced dead at the scene. In other news, the 1,000 Jobs in 1,000 Days initiative, which was launched under the Virgin Islands Party government in 2019, only managed to employ 17% of the total registered applicants during the program's time period. More in this report.
Well, this stat was revealed in a special report of the Auditor General on Claude Skelton-Klein's contracts under the Andrew Foy-led Virgin Islands Party government for the period of March 25, 2019 to September 17, 2021. According to the report, Kline was contracted to monitor planning and execution to ensure the delivery of 1,000 jobs in 1,000 days. But the report said, and I quote, "At the end of the period, a report was prepared by the Labour Department on the 1,000 Jobs in 1,000 Days program covering August 2019 to May 2022. But this showed that there were 1,145 job-seeking candidates registered and 194 placements," end quote. Well, in his first report, Kline expressed that he worked with the implementation team to launch the program and said he held discussions with energy company Power 52 on job placements and the H. Lavity Stout Community College for related training for the Anegada Renewable Energy Project. In addition, Kline said he obtained commitments from 4 major cruise lines for recruitment of Virgin Islanders aboard cruise ships. As it relates to Power 52, the General found that while training was provided, no employment resulted from the discussions during Kline's contracted tenure. On the Seafarer Initiative, which sought to create job opportunities on cruise liners for BV Islanders and belongers, an initial commitment of approximately 200 hires was made for entry-level positions by one of the cruise liners. But despite a policy and a legislation being drafted and passed in the House of Assembly, the progression was deemed as moderate, and the Auditor General found it was insufficient to generate any employment.
An Auditor General report released this week has alleged that despite not being in use or evidently beneficial, the government of the Virgin Islands proceeded to pay over $700,000 for the use of barges in the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. More on this. The government of the Virgin Islands is under great scrutiny following the release of an Auditor General report which seemingly justifies the concerns of the United Kingdom and a wide section of the society surrounding the issuance of high-valued contracts for the use of easy shipping barges. The report emerged following an audit undertaken pursuant to Recommendation B23 of the Commission of Inquiry report. It has been determined that there is no evidence to support the effectiveness of the barges and that payments for their use by the government continued for 2 months after the barges had been abandoned. While the National Security Council approved the use of barges following the emergence of an unsolicited proposal from Easy Shipping, it mandated that a rapid tender process be undertaken to source competitive submissions. In that time, 2 other local companies were engaged. Auditors found that before this process could be completed, the Easy Shipping barges were engaged by the Premier without the knowledge or approval of the Governor, the NSC, or the Cabinet. After 3 months of use and multiple limitations and issues which emerged during that time, the marine barges were abandoned. Despite that, the government had paid $2.04 million to Easy Shipping for 5 months of services under 3 contracts covering the period of August 23, 2020 to January 22, 2021. That meant that a total of $738,000 was paid to Easy Shipping out of the public purse from November 26, 2020 to January 21, 2021, while the barges were not being used by the government. The audit also found that the contracts with Easy Shipping were extended twice, without any written requests for continuation or reports on effectiveness. The Ministry of Finance's tendering process on that occasion was found to have occurred outside the remit of the ministry, as it does not hold responsibility for border security. In conclusion, the report found that the expedited procurement process approved by the NSC to secure competitive bids for marine platforms was aborted by the unauthorized deployment of the barges. It added that the cancellation of the procurement process meant that the contract should have been ratified by the cabinet in the form of a tender waiver. Auditors found no evidence to support statements made surrounding the effectiveness of the barges. The report stated that, quote, the continuance of illicit activities was evident in drug busts that occurred during the period that the barges were in use. The customs staff reported a change in modus as persons engaged in avoidance tactics to circumvent the sway of the platforms, end quote. Surrounding payments made to Easy Shipping during the 2 months that the barges were not used, auditors found that incorrect information was provided to the NSC and cabinet to facilitate their approval. The report stated, quote, actions taken by the Premier and the Ministry of Finance with respect to border security without authorization of the NSC and the governor may have amounted to overstepping their legislative authority. The former by engaging the barges and latter by issuing public tenders for territorial surveillance equipment for border security, end quote. The Auditor General has made recommendations on this matter as follows. 1. Each of the departments should be reminded of their respective roles for territorial and border security to avoid future instances of overstepping authority. 2. An assessment should be performed by the Attorney General Chambers to determine whether the government should pursue recovery of the amounts paid to Easy Shipping for the period 26 November 2020 to 22 January 2021, when the barges were not in use by the government. 3. An assessment should be performed by the police and the Director of Public Prosecutions on whether any offenses were committed with respect to the engagement of the marine platforms. And 4. There should be clear legislative repercussions at all levels for persons who disregard legislative authority and knowingly commit the government to an expenditure in a manner that is not approved. For 284 News, I am Jacques Wooding. Premier Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley has confessed that his support of Claude Skelton Cline's contracts under the Andrew Foy-led Virgin Islands Party government from the period of March 2019 to September 2021 was a mistake. Premier Wheatley's comment came during the debate stage of the Auditor General's special report on Cline's contracts, which was laid before the House of Assembly on Tuesday. The report highlighted several failed areas of Cline's contracts during his more than 2 years of employment and concluded that the purpose of his consultancy was not to add value to the government, but rather to provide Cline with employment.
Yes, this contract that we speak about, these contracts for Claude Skelton Cline, did come to cabinet, and I did support them. And I'm here to say to you, Madam Speaker, that I believe that my support for these contracts was a mistake. And I believe that the former Premier made a mistake in engaging Claude Skelton Cline with these contracts. And it is okay to acknowledge a mistake. There's nothing wrong in acknowledging a mistake. Some persons will say, oh, you acknowledge a mistake, there you go. You've admitted how horrible you are. We all make mistakes sometimes. But it takes a man, or in some cases a woman, to be able to admit when you made a mistake.
Premier Wheatley said the only way for the territory to grow moving forward is for elected officials to assess themselves by being harshly truthful.
The period that we are in right now, Madam Speaker, is a period of reform. It's a period of self-reflection. And if we fool ourselves into believing that we have nothing to fix, we will not improve this territory for the better. Indeed, we must fix this territory. And to fix this territory, we have to look at ourselves.
And with that, we take you to a quick commercial break. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. My name is Kamal Haynes. Most of you know me from 284 News, but now you get to see me in a different light on my very own show called Health is Wealth. We have Joel Turnbull.
I don't want you to arch your back when you're pulling down.
Milton McLean.
First of all, right, your footwork.
Stephen Payne.
That was a 9 out of 10. I know you got the service down pat.
Steve Augustine.
You did a pretty hard workout today, so perhaps...
And as you can see, it's actually
you're feeling it.
Alonzo Boynes.
Taekwondo.
Adam Murrows.
I'll speak as if you're an absolute beginner.
I am an absolute beginner.
You are an absolute beginner.
And Seth Graham.
It bites. It will bite.
Get your water, get your fruits and veggies, and experience a wealth of knowledge about getting healthy.
Is that my lunch? Is that my lunch?
We're like the coworker that doesn't eat your lunch.
I'm John. I'm John.
CG Insurance. Good like that.
Freeze. Choose your mix. Choose your flavor.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Premier Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley believes that the document entitled Report of the Auditor General on the COVID-19 Border Security Contracts for Static Marine Platforms is incomplete. Wheatley made that argument in the House of Assembly as he rose to debate the contents of that report. First on his list of concerns was the apparent failure of the Auditor General to consult with or interview parties who he believed could have provided vital insight on the matter. This included Easy Shipping proprietor Clyde Chalwell, who is named in the document, members of the National Security Council who would have served at that time, and agencies outside of the police who are part of the Joint Task Force.
The Auditor General does not, in this report, interview all the relevant parties. And it's a problem. Did the Auditor General interview the owner of Easy Shipping, the one who owns the barges that the whole audit is about? No. Madam Speaker, I have a problem with that. You do a whole audit on Easy Shipping and you don't interview Easy Shipping. Madam Speaker, I have a problem with that.
The Premier said that he had personally had conversations with Mr. Chalwell, during which some of the claims in the report were refuted. Meanwhile, Minister for Health and Social Development, Honorable Marlon Penn, is urging the BVI public to brace themselves for the information that will be revealed once the pending audit reports from the active investigations are completed and made available to the public. Penn's statement came as he debated the findings of the Auditor General's report on the contracts issued to Claude Skelton Klein under the Andrew Foy-led Virgin Islands Party administration. He predicts that the information from the pending investigations will be much more alarming in comparison to the finding of Klein's audit report.
The subsequent reports that are going to come, if you think this bad, I will tell the public, buckle up. buckle up. As one like to say, get your popcorn. And get ready because we're in serious trouble. And it underscores the reason and the realities that we're in and why we're in these realities. So we all can't just act like Naaman. Take 7 dips in a river and come up clean.
Penn believes that each member who played a role in directly approving clients' contracts should be held accountable to the people of the Virgin Islands and should not be silent.
But he didn't do it by himself. He didn't get here $365,000 later and nothing to show for the people of the Virgin Islands. Nothing to show in these very, very important initiatives that if were delivered would have bring value to the lives of our young people, would have put programs in place to improve the lives of our young people, would have put all young people in jobs, would have helped us to advance these critical telecom infrastructure. But the cabinet went silent. No one spoke out. Everyone went, yay, approved these particular contracts one after the next. And we are where we are. The members of the cabinet who approved these and the members who went along with these things have to be held accountable too for the actions of the people of the Virgin Islands.
Premier Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley believes that against emerging reports alleging misuse of public funds by the government, Virgin Islanders must remain unified and not be quick to segregate by casting blame as they see due. More in this report. He who is without sin cast the first stone. Those were the sentiments of Premier Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley as he stood before the House of Assembly following heated debates on Tuesday evening. That sitting brought 2 Auditor General reports surrounding apparent misuse of public funds to be laid before the House. Wheatley said that while these reports may focus on the last 3.5 years, they are truly evidence of failures in governance spanning successive administrations.
We are not without sin. We are not without blame. The COI process that we have now, some of these audits, yes, there's a real focus on the last 3.5 years. But without a shadow of the doubt, Madam Speaker, and Sir Gary Hickenbottom says this, former Overseas Territory Minister Amanda Millen says this, the failures that we have experienced in governance span successive administrations. And before I go forward with that point, let me just make sure persons understand that while we have some areas of deficiency, we have far more areas to be proud of.
While acknowledging that the Virgin Islands, like many other societies, is not without flaws, Wheatley asserted that having such audits, investigations, internal processes, and moments of self-examination is necessary to growing and developing the territory. The key, he said, is to learn from them, not play the blame game.
Saying my sin is bigger than your sin, that's not going to get us anywhere. Saying, you know what? All of you are complicit in this and therefore you have no value or worth moving forward into leadership. That's not going to get us anywhere, Madam Speaker, because when we look back past the 3.5 years, there are lots of examples. We're right next to the Elmo Stout High School right now. And there was an audit on a wall. And there were individuals charged, actually, for that. And they led parties. And we stood next to them. We even write letters defending them. And we could point to other places, Madam Speaker. If you talk about waste of government funds, we can look to the planes that never materialized. I mean, I can go on and on and on, Madam Speaker, but those things don't get us anywhere. That's just a ploy for political power.
Wheatley stressed that Virgin Islanders cannot fall into the trap of fighting against each other for political power and sacrificing the Virgin Islands as a result.
But we have to put hearts and minds together, join hands, and build this country. Offer solutions as opposed to just playing the blame game. And for too long, politics in the BVI has been about blame and avoiding blame. And I would say, Madam Speaker, that what is required right now is statesmanship, where we can all look at ourselves, take responsibility, do what we have to do to improve and move forward.
Describing himself as a very honest person, Wheatley said that now there is a need for unity in the territory. However, Tuesday's sitting, he said, demonstrated that the unity government is ending and politicians are stepping back into their old habits.
This unity government is coming to an end. And when you listen to the debate, you will know that the unity government is coming to an end and we are approaching elections. So while we have been working together to save the Virgin Islands from the threat of the suspension of our Constitution and reforming our society, we face the prospect of elections and we fall into familiar patterns. Unfortunately. And I know that the public at large, there are persons who see it and they're disappointed in it.
For 284 News, I am Jacko Wooding. With that, we take a word from our sponsors. There's more when we return.
Hun, it's asking for your password.
Huh?
You were logged out. I need the password.
BR.
What's the rest?
BRANDI, the number 4, EVER?
Who's Brandy?
We're like the password that isn't your ex-girlfriend's name. CG Insurance. Good like that.
I should have changed it.
You should have.
You're right.
There are many ways to enjoy life. Like so many ways to count on Popular.
Yo, everything good, Dad?
Aye. This thing got me one way, Daddy.
What do you mean?
Ever since I hook up with this thing, can't eat, I can't sleep. This is the first thing I touch it when I reach home.
What do you really? Hey, this ain't like you, you know.
Dad, this thing got me staying home. Keeping out that trouble me.
Wow. What your name is?
Shit. I talking about my CCT life.
Don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Come to CCT today and sign up for CCT Live to access over 80 channels. CCT Live. Bring it home.
1 month free trial turn into 5. 5 months turn into, well, you know I watching ball. I been watching football. Dad, Nickelodeon, Paw Patrol. I am hooked. Hook, I tell you.
Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. The third sitting of the 5th session of the 4th House of Assembly of the Virgin Islands officially returned to its original headquarters in Road Town on February 21st, 2023. More in this report.
The House of Assembly of the Virgin Islands has returned to its original location since March of 2022. On February 21st, 2023, the House of Assembly was relocated to the Save the Seed Energy Center's sporting facility in Dust Bottom due to spacing mandates implemented by the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the original chambers in Rotown then went under renovations to upgrade the facility. In a report to the Standing Finance Committee, Clerk of the House of Assembly, Mrs. Phyllis Evans, informed the committee and stated that some 5 contractors, namely Macmillan Construction, Lawrence Wheatley Construction, Terrace Hill, Nottingham Construction, and Accurate Construction Limited, conducted the construction upgrades to the House of Assembly. Despite questions raised in the House of Assembly by opposition legislators and inquiries by our agency, officials continue to withhold the total amount spent on rent for the duration of the time utilized at Save the Seed Energy Center. In speaking to members of the House of Assembly upon entering the newly remodeled chambers, a few shared what it meant to them to be back home.
Madam Speaker, I'm sure that you, the Deputy Speaker, and the Clerk and her team will be pleased to hear me say that I'm happy to be here. I was skeptical about singing your praises until I got here. As a matter of fact, while I was coming this morning and I got by the speed bump by Virgin Island Motors, my vehicle made a hard right to go in to Save the Seed, and I said, no, they say it's going to be up here. So I came and I saw the place and I said, well done guys.
But I also want to get up and thank the clerk and the deputy clerk and Mr. Linton Leonard and Ms. George for all the people who have been working hard to try to get this honorable house back on their feet. It's been frustrating. A lot of times you come, you want to see things get done and it wasn't happening. But patience got us through this, and hard work got us through this. And I too would like to really thank the team for all the work they've put in and all the patience.
Junior Minister for Trade and Economic Development and at-large representative had this to say.
This is a historic building, and we deserve to showcase our historic buildings. And it also means that we are back in our home base, and I think that is very important for us as well as for the people of the Virgin Islands. So it's a great occasion. I am very happy. Inside looks very nice.
Additionally, 9th District Representative the Honorable Vincent Wheatley ecstatically said,
I'm so excited to be back in the new House of Assembly where we started out. I couldn't wait to get here this morning. As a matter of fact, I was the very first person here this morning. It is beautiful. It's a job well done. I must commend all the team, Honorable Smith and his team, for getting us back here, back home. Thank you.
The third sitting of the 5th session of the 4th session, which is a continuation sitting, began after 4 p.m. on Tuesday, February 21st, 2023, after being scheduled for 10 a.m. that same day. The matter of House sittings beginning late has been a continuous concern for past and present House of Assembly speakers, as well as members of the community who believe the lateness of the House of Assembly is unprofessional and discourteous to residents. During the sitting, audit reports on easy shipping and government consultant Claude Skelton Klein contracts with the government of the Virgin Islands were laid on the table of the House of Assembly and debated by members. Other bills expected to be brought forward include the highly controversial Police Act 2023. The House of Assembly of the Virgin Islands is constitutionally due to be dissolved by March 12, 2023, making way for the territory's general elections.
And that is it for today's news roundup. Be sure to follow us for daily news updates at 284media.com and like us on Facebook at 284media and 284BVI on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Jacka Whitting and I'll see you again next week. So have yourself a safe and enjoyable weekend. Goodbye.
Is someone going to get that?
Hello.
Hello.
So nice of you to have cleaned up for us. Hi, baby.
We're like in-laws that don't show up unannounced.
Don't worry.